Hello everybody, and welcome to Ha. This is my submission for Agma Schwa's Cursed Conlang Circus number 2. The language, as called here, is hehe, also called Jestisch. It is a language spoken by jesters, both ancient and new. The language is known demonymically as hehe. It's called Jestisch by the scholars and researchers studying and collating it. It is spoken by the ancient Gesterine, jester people, now known as modern-day comedians. It sounds like human laughter. It has 16 consonants divided into typicals, breaths, and solids, with typicals and breaths being divided into an ingressive-egressive dichotomy. There are 8 vowels and 14 diacritics marking for tone, quality, and length, which can be combined in a variety of ways. And there is one glide consonant, a snort vowel. While it is technically a consonant, it is different enough and behaves like a vowel to the point where I didn't group it as part of the other 16. So in total, there are 17 consonants. Gesterine anthropology. The ancient Gesterine hail from Denmark, with records confirming their presence in the area from since at least the 11th century, though some written accounts reference their existence from as early as the 6th century. Wild jesters were known to have naturally colourful skin, believed to be from their diets, as domesticated jesters were known to go grey. The colourful parts of their skin were tougher and more leathery than their paler, pinker face and hand skin. Ancient Gesterine were known to somewhat resemble humans, though characteristically their jaws were fused together in a permanent toothy smile, more like a grimace or a rictus. The history of the evolutionary process in which their jaws gradually began to unlock and they gained full articulation is missing, though it is presumed that it was potentially an evolution or adaptation gradually occurring to allow them to speak human languages and not just early Jestisch. And as a result, actually, their language changed as well, because originally in Proto-Jestisch, they only had their one sort of consonant, which was through the teeth, but as their mouths opened up, they actually gained new consonants like and things like that, not just. Male Gesterine had headpieces that for some of them were horns, while for others were floppy bits of flesh and cartilage. These were called head tails, and they were covered in skin, so they weren't just dangling and fleshy. But during mating season, parts of these head tails would swell up and make a jingling sound when moved around. It wasn't just the head tails, by the way. They would also swell into like these baubles on their feet and on other parts of their skin, and their faces would also actually flush, and they'd look like they were blushing. It's believed that it was to attract a jester mate, and they would dance and call attention to themselves when doing this as a display. Gesterine did not go extinct. They evolved to look more human for some reason, and are now known by a different taxonomical descriptor: comedians. Gesterine are also more intelligent than humans, though I wouldn't give them that credit. The consonants in Jestisch are m, n, m, p, k, consonant blends are while that sound is represented with a glottal stop, it is more accurate to have it be a sound that you'd force out like that. And the velopharyngeal trill, the is always ingressive and is not strictly a consonant, as it behaves like a vowel. The vowels in Jestisch are I, U, A, E, A, A. And the diacritics in tone, we have low, which is falling, which is neutral, which is rising, which is high, which is and highest, which is Quality, we have creaky, screaming, crying, dry, dubious, uncomfortable. For length, we have long, which is overlong, which is super long, which is sharp, which is and if it's unmarked, it's just normal length. Grammar and syntax. There are 2 grammatical genders, neuter and feminine. There are 8 cases: vocative, nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, locative, instrumental, and ablative. There are 4 grammatical numbers: singular, dual, trial, plural. Egressive, ingressive rhythm structure called the veins structure. Diacritical notation, which is syntactic and morphological, so it changes meaning and changes words. And it's typically an OSV structured language. The veins structure. Veins is an acronym standing for vowel, egressive, ingressive, consonant, and stem. The abiding structure of all Jestisch words follows veins in the fashion of parentheses, V, parentheses, N, close parentheses, EV, 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 IV, parentheses, N. Although longer words will often have IN or IV infixed between any EV within the pattern of breathing. EV, 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 EV would be ha, 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 plus IV would be ha, 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 ha. If we have a V at the beginning, we have ha, 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 ha. If we have an N at the beginning instead of a V, we get ha, 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 ha. Or if we have that N at the end instead, ha, 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 ha. If we have a VN at the beginning and an N at the end, that gives us ha, 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 ha. But this generally doesn't happen, as when you're actually laughing it's very strenuous on breathing. And so you would instead do a VN, EV, EV, IV, EV, EV, IVN. Ha, ha, ha. V and N are types of stems in certain morphosyntactic and inflectional circumstances. Note, all examples of the veins pattern above ignore the fact that N can be ingressive too. In those cases where more context is required, the pattern can be prefixed IN, EN, or suffixed NI, NE. And as an addendum, N is in reference to consonants, which are either solids or breaths. So, n, m, or... Whereas E and I are in reference to typicals, which are all of the h sounds. And no, the breaths and the h's are not the same. These are the pronouns in Jestisch. If you want to look at them, pause and read, but here they are. You might notice that there is a pej by the other table. That is because those are pejorative pronouns. And the plural is in null because it's considered pejorative or rude to not address people when you're around them in the language. The jesters are an incredibly social species with an instinctive urge to form groups with one another. These groups, once formed, become very exclusive and even themselves contain varying levels and forms of in-groups. Jestisch therefore makes a huge distinction over in- and out-groups, and thus makes use of multiple sets of pronouns from familiar to derogative. Depending on familiarity, 2 or more gesterine may insult one another, with it being interpreted as a bonding and social activity, whereas a stranger to the group, if insulted or should they do the insulting, would have it be considered the utmost of social disrespect. Gesterine do not respect anything non-jester. Pronouns continued. These are the offensive and derogative pronouns. And within offensive pronouns, the reason for so many nulls is because the jesters think it is more offensive to not refer to someone when they are clearly there. Even so, it is considered more offensive to acknowledge only one person when they are within a group. The derogative and offensive pronouns are so offensive that they break the rules of Jestisch to facilitate such scathing rudeness. Pronouns continued. Possessives. These possessives all correspond with derogative pronouns. No other possessive forms have been discovered. This is the inflectional patterning of nouns and adjectives in Jestisch. Cases have both infixes and suffixes, but only the suffix is always used when declaring case. A longer vein structured word. There will be an infix as well. There's also number. And adjectives, they share the same case stems as nouns do, but have different number stems. We're missing the inflection for negatives, so the less and un words, but the inflection is the exact same as it is for verbs. And the way it goes is number, noun, possessive, case. Number is mandatory and adjectives agree with their nouns, or number, noun, case, adjective, pos, case. Verbs, these are the varying inflectional conjugations that happen to verbs. As we could see the bottom there, negative, it's the same for nouns too. When verbs are in any non-infinitive tense, they must have the correct pronoun also. So basically, if you're saying the bee flies, you'd say the bee he flies or the bee it flies. When verbs are in any non-infinitive tense, they must have the correct pronoun. The way verbs form is pronoun, mood, verb, and tense. The sample text. The original text is, according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible. And here's the translation. It is missing all of the tones because I wasn't able to make them in time, but I do have a book with the tones on me, so let's have a go. And also, I'm not an expert. I am, as much as I know about the language, I am not perfect at the pronunciation of the tones, so I will make mistakes, and no, I will not correct them. No. Which, there's the gloss, and it literally means, it is apparent, according to flying studies known laws, B should to fly not, both wings too small to lift its pudgy body off the ground, B it flies regardless, being bees care not as to what humans they believe to be not possible. I have messed up that translation text. I was adding more ingressives, I think, but you should get the picture. This is a follow-up recording to just say thank you for watching the video. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the Conlang Circus. And if anyone wants me to do a deeper exploration of Jestisch and the Gesterine, I would be happy to do so. Maybe I'll even retry the sample text at some point. But that's all for me. My name is Want Hildis, or Hilda. Thank you for watching.